West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, people, you're lucky. 2 episodes in the same day. I did warn you earlier on, if you've already watched the earlier videos dropped today on the channel, that I had another special one coming a few hours later. I've rung into Antigua. I've reached out to Ramesh Subasinghe. I said, Ramesh, can you come on? Because obviously, as you know, if you're a proper West Indies cricket aficionado, you'll know that Ramesh is at CCG in Antigua right now, prepping the guys who aren't currently in New Zealand for the white ball series, getting some of them ready ahead of the test tour coming up. We saw Johan would have been with Ramesh earlier this week. He's flown out now because he's part of the ODI squad that is in New Zealand. So, and when I reached out to Ramesh, because I sent him a message and I said, Ramesh, it'd be good to get you on the show, because for those of you who don't, I mean, if you've watched our previous episodes with Ramesh, you should know, but for those who maybe this is the first time you're coming across Ramesh spent a long part of his career and professional development in New Zealand. And I'd argue that there's probably nobody better adjusted to and orientated to getting the guys ready for the experience in New Zealand and what it means to play in New Zealand than Ramesh. So we're going to have a little quick episode here. Ramesh is literally joining us live. You'll see when I bring him on camera that he's literally joining us, having just got off the back of training to come talk to us. So very excited to have Ramesh on, and great that he can give up some of his time. Ramesh, how you doing?
Very good, Mash. Thanks for having me, and hope your beloved Bromley is doing well.
Yep, we're doing very good. Top 10 in the league right now, and looking like we could be promotion, certainly playoff candidates, you know. But listen, Ramesh, as I said at the top of the show, wanna chop it up with you about New Zealand. I was looking at some stats earlier on. West Indies have played 22 test matches in New Zealand since the beginning of the 80s or late 70s. So this includes even when West Indies were the dominant side in world cricket and no one could beat us. We've only won 2 tests in our last 22 attempts in New Zealand, and that's including some of the greatest teams that cricket has ever seen. And before you and I went live, I was saying to you kind of backstage that I consider New Zealand the hardest place to tour in world cricket, and certainly in the Caribbean context, because of how alien New Zealand is in terms of conditions to the Caribbean. I wouldn't include England in that, simply because we go to England a lot, and so we're quite familiar. At least there's more familiarity with England, whereas a New Zealand tour tends to be every 4 years at best. So you can go through a whole cycle of players who would never have played there, and then they suddenly pitch up in New Zealand without much experience of what those conditions are. So I just kind of wanted to, pick your brain. I know you've been prepping the guys in Antigua about your experience in New Zealand, what makes it so difficult for touring sides to adjust to conditions in New Zealand, and what you kind of have to do to get to grips with the game. So wherever you want to start with that, because that's a lot of stuff to start with.
Yeah, I mean, we can start with New Zealand is at the bottom of the world. So that's probably the first thing, and quite close to Antarctica. So like when it comes to conditions, yes, you're right. Not New Zealand play really well at home. And most of the teams that do come to New Zealand have struggled to adapt to the conditions, adapt to the not just the pitch conditions, more to the weather as well. So, I mean, you probably saw yesterday in Dunedin, it was quite a cold day over there, and we normally jokingly say that's a very good day in Dunedin too. So it just, the weather and at times some venues are extremely windy, where we're going to play the second test match at Basing Reserve. It's a very windy place as well. So it's very hard, especially if you had to bowl into the wind at the basin. So, and wickets, as you've all seen, sometimes you can't differentiate the square and the pitch, because New Zealand likes to play on green surfaces, especially red ball cricket. And green not necessarily means it's prodigious seam movement. It's more for the pace. So they normally in a test match starts quite green, and then there's a little bit of moisture in it for the first couple of days, and then it settles down. So there are quite a lot of factors. I'd say New Zealand is a place. If you now, this is quite good for the guys who are already there, because they're getting used to the conditions well. And then also even the time differences as well. They're about 17 hours ahead. So there is a lot of good things for the guys. I guess will be better prepared this time around over there. And here in Antigua, we've got wickets with grass on it. So, but it's not the same. However, we are trying our best to practice their individual method, that how they're gonna counter those conditions. But at the end, it's you got to keep it simple. The pitch length. It's the same ball, so it's different. It's a Kookaburra ball they play over there as well. So we're trying to here at the camp, because it's a short camp. It's 2 weeks, so there's not a lot of like wholesale changes that we're trying to do with the players, but it's more about reinforcing their strengths and how they can apply those strengths in those conditions. That's what we're doing, and the boys have been training really hard, and so really pleased with how the professionalism they have displayed so far, and the willingness to get better every day is something really pleasing to see.
Let's break it down into different skill sets. Let's start with bowling first. We've seen in the 5 T20s thus far that Matthew Forde has had a lot of success. Probably one of I'd certainly put him in the top 2, top 3 swing bowlers in terms of getting swing movement in the Caribbean. He's had now he's returned to full fitness. He's had a lot of success, quite similar to how Duffy probably bowls for New Zealand in terms of their skill set. But that's in the limited format of the game. Is it that what equals success with the ball in New Zealand in terms of, is it about length? Is it about, obviously pitches are different, but is it about length? Is it about seam? Is it about scrambled seam? What in general, we've had bowlers like Wagner at home, Neil Wagner for New Zealand, have lots of success with a bumper strategy. We know about the Tim Salvies and bowl over the previous years. What equals good bowling in New Zealand in your mind?
I mean, just to start off with, you spoke about Matthew Forde, and so what you've seen is Matthew Forde has been extremely consistent, and he has had about 10 days here before he left to New Zealand as well. So and then it was great to see how Matthew's progressing there after coming back from quite a serious injury that he had. Well done, Matthew, there. And when it comes to conditions, New Zealand is normally a place that you would plan to bowl full. So around that 5 to 6 meter length, that is the ideal length. When I was working in the New Zealand system, we always say that bowl the ball that challenges the front foot defense of the batter. So that means it's not a half volley, but still hitting heavy on the bat, on the high side of it. But we got to get people forward. So and the thing with that is there's assistance in the pitch, but it's about how you could repeat your basics for longer. That is the key, because sometimes you might have spells that the ball is doing too much, and people, like, plays and misses a lot. But then the game over there is actually keep doing it, keep asking the same question over and over again. So that's some of the things we've been working on here at the camp as well. So whereas if you think of it in a Caribbean context, we, in first class cricket or in test cricket, we try to hit the stumps often.
Mm.
So because there's not a lot of assistance in our wickets here, but in New Zealand, it's normally that fourth, fifth stump line that they try to hold. So where it can challenge both edges of the bat. So and they use normally use the crease really well as well to create those angles. So some of those things, like those are some of the things that we've been working on.
And you know what? I said to you at the start that New Zealand's hard to tour, but famously, when was it? I want to say it was at the back end of 2023. Bangladesh went there and managed to win a test match, and I think that kind of shocked a lot of people at the time, because Bangladesh went there with a pace attack. I think that's where we saw Rana for the first time, possibly. I need to go back and remind myself who their or was it Taskin? I need to go back and remind myself who their pace attack was for that series. But they managed to win a test in Bangladesh, and I remember everyone kind of saying at the time, "Wow, Bangladesh have unearthed a pace attack." And they've managed to utilize the conditions. I don't know if you saw any of that series or highlights of it, or if you remember it. But what if you do, and if you don't, then I don't know if you can answer the question. But if you do, what was it that Bangladesh did so well that would have allowed them to shock New Zealand in their own conditions?
I think, like, I remember that test match, but yeah, for sure, it's the lengths they bowl. Those pace attack was very consistent, and they bowled really good lengths. So it's the same blueprint that we need to do, like in our own way, using our own strengths. But it's about getting that ball a bit fuller.
Yeah.
Than what we're used to, and fuller means it's not floaty, but you still got to hit the pitch in a fuller length so that you will get that bounce. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a very good performance from Bangladesh at that time. But we got to concentrate on what we are good at and how we can exploit those conditions using our strengths. Yes. Yeah.
Pivoting to the batting. So you've spoken about how bowlers, you'd want a bowler to try and get the batters onto the front foot. Now, of course, without knowing who's going to be fit for New Zealand, I mean, it could be if everyone's fit, you could see a Matt Henry, obviously a Carl Jamieson. Who knows who their bowling attack is going to be on the day, but they know their own conditions. So if you're a batter, and let's say you're facing up to a fully fit complement of the Kiwi bowling attack, what would you say is the number one advice you give to a touring batter, whether West Indian or anybody else? What would be, from your experience, what's the number one advice a touring batter has to know about new Kiwi conditions and adapting to it as quick as possible?
So, like, I mean, like, just to give you a little bit of a context to that what I'm going to say to you, senior team coaches have sent us the blueprint that they are trying to use in West Indies, in New Zealand. Sorry, but then every player who's attending the camp actually have a plan that is being given by our coaches in the senior team. So flight briefer Ravi Rampal and Darren has been fully involved with myself and our staff here around how we can prepare as best as we can with what we have. So asking like a couple of things is, like, when the ball moves, the best way to approach that with a straight blade. So if we can present the straight blade, trying to bat straight, that will be a really good one. And contact points are very important as well. We don't want the hands to go outside of us a lot. We need to be quite compact, and as most times it's important that we play the ball as late as possible in those
Mhm.
conditions, and being able to shift weight to the back foot is important as well to counter that rising ball from a 6 6 7 meter mark. So
Mhm.
for us to shift weight to the back foot is an important skill to have. And but more importantly, it's about having a very clear game plan how you're going to counter it. So because we can't be someone we are not. So but if we know, if we are very clear about the game plan, the approach that we're going to take, and trying to stick to that for long periods of time is going to be the key. And because there's some help in conditions, sometimes a batter could look silly because you might
Mhm.
get the ball that square you up, but then important thing is you've been there. Even though you might look silly, you might look
Mhm.
ugly at times, but it's about doing it, like sticking to your game plan for longer. And then when the wicket eases up, when the wicket gets drier, when the bowlers are getting tired, if we can put pressure back on there, that will be a really good way to go about it, to be successful in New Zealand.
Do you know what? The last time we went there, I'm racking my brain about this. I don't have the stats in front of me, and I think it was 2020. I think the last time we toured there, and it's something that I've noticed sometimes with New Zealand, certainly in Test cricket, that sometimes you can turn up on day one of a Test match. And granted, again, this is a generalized point because it's different in venues, and that's why I need to go back and look at my Test match facts to remind myself which venue I might be talking about. But I'm hoping you can either fact check me or or tell me I'm correct. But there's some venues in New Zealand where you can turn up and the pitch looks green, but then like New Zealand will bat on it and score 500 runs. Like, so so I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, how do you differentiate in New Zealand between, because as a fan, right, we'll look at a pitch on day one, we'll see a pitch report and they'll go, well, there's a lot of green on this wicket, and everyone will go, well, bowl first. But it's not always as straightforward as that in New Zealand. So just talk me through that.
I mean, like traditionally, New Zealand pitches are always green,
Mm,
especially for red ball cricket. But it depends the greenness. To be honest, when you see that amount of green, 99% of all teams would try to bat on it, try to bowl on it. Sorry.
yeah.
So, but then the thing is, moisture plays a part as well. Sometimes you could have green, but then it's quite dry underneath. So but it varies, and the venues we currently play at, we're going to play at Hagley Oval, and we're going to play at the Basin Reserve in Wellington, and we're going to play at Mount Manganui
Yeah.
in Tauranga for the last test match. So all three venues are quite different in conditions wise. So I mean, I'm going back from my experiences there, so I'm not sure what is the exact situation right now.
Hmm.
But all three are really good venues, really good wickets. To be honest, those are all very good cricketing wickets. So there is
Mm,
something for everyone in
mm,
those wickets. So there was one test match I remember in Hamilton. I was actually watching the game at the ground as well at that time. West Indies. There was an innings. I think I'm sure you remember it. Kane Williamson gets a big 100,
yep.
and that innings, like the New Zealand was going at, I think, under 2 runs and over before
Mm,
lunch, but because
yep.
that was that early moisture, and then at that game, West Indies were a bit short, because sometimes, for us in the Caribbean, when you see a lot of green, you get excited and you bowl short,
Mm,
shorter, like in terms of rather than trying to push the ball fuller. So, but then, as I said, if he can challenge the front foot defense more often than not, I think you are in a very good position to challenge the New Zealand batting order.
mm. Away from the test match, because I do think it's important to to get your views on this. Obviously, we're in the midst of a limited over series, and one of the players who you've worked with quite extensively since you've come over to the Caribbean, Akeem Ogis, he's moved on from the West Indies Academy. Obviously, he has a franchise team and contract as well, but he's got his chance with the West Indies senior side, and to be fair, has impressed quite a lot of people in terms of his transition into the senior side. It's not easy. He's only 22, but just from your, it's worth getting a few words from you, just in terms of when you and I first spoke in Ireland. What's that now? Maybe 2 years ago now. Akeem would have been on that West Indies Academy tour of Ireland, and within 2 years he's able to take his development further. So just a few words on Akeem and what he's managed to achieve for himself in the last 18 months to 2 years.
Just to clarify something for you, Akim is still contracted to West
The
Indies
academy.
Academy.
There you go. So
Yes.
there you go.
So no, really pleased for him. Really pleased the growth he has had in the past. I would say it's about 18 months since I knew him. So I would put down to Akim's hard work. Akim is one of the hardest workers in the academy, and someone who has a very good growth mindset, who loves a challenge. So he's someone that sometimes, coach would say, Akim, how long we are going for.
Mm.
So like in that way that he would he want to bat for long periods, and he works really hard, and he always had talent. He always had talent, someone who can play very well off the back foot and off the front foot, and also bat spin really well. So I guess that's where Darren and his team was excited to include Akim to the setup. But if I had to, really pleased to see where he's at. I mean, I was watching the game yesterday, and I saw he was playing his ninth game, say in T20 cricket. So, which is quite a like if you think of two. I think he first played against Nepal, and now he's already played 9 games for West Indies. So I hope that he's learning every day, knowing his character. I know he will, and try to get better every day. So really pleased for him, and I wish him all the very best, and keep working hard.
Yeah, most definitely, and we should point out as well that not only was he on that tour in Ireland, he went to India last year. Yeah, it was last year as part of I think it was 7 of them, if I'm not mistaken, that went to India for the camp last year. So I think it, to me, just gives off one of those players. You know, when you see one of those young players, you're obviously soaking in all the information you can get, and utilizing it to the best of where your skill set is currently at, and that's obvious. You can just tell that, I think, in just his body language and how he goes about it. Would it be fair to say he's a confident player? And I don't mean that because sometimes that can have a negative connotation, but I actually mean that in a positive connotation, in the sense of taking challenges in his stride, because he looks more mature than he should be at this stage of his career, given, like, as you said, like, he was only playing against Nepal literally a few months ago. and now he's literally in the senior setup.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things that, well, one of the biggest things that we try to do here at the academy is we challenge our players to get better every day and expand their boundaries, their limitations as cricketers. And so we always challenge that. So because I firmly believe that no one learns anything in their comfort zone. So we try to push them to like, sometimes they are not even exposed to those things, but we are saying, okay, if you play at this level, these conditions, these are what you're going to expect. You have to expect this. So then how can you prepare while you are here? So we always foresee what's needed for the player. So because sometimes we get excited what we see now, and then we try to support that, but then sometimes we got to foresee, okay, if he goes to England, if he goes to Australia, these are the skills that he would need. So that is the some of the real objectives that we have here at the academy. So we always try to stretch our players to get better. And as I said to you earlier, one of the Akim's biggest things is that every challenge he wants to face it. He wants to challenge the coach. So that is that mindset that he has. He's someone who will tell you like, coach, you got to throw me faster. So that's something that is really what you might see, that is, yeah, he looks confident, he is confident, and but that confidence has come from doing the hard work, trying to train harder than what he might get to play. So that's where the confidence, that what you see. However, he's someone who's just got in and learning the game from limited regional experiences here in our domestic game. So that's why that we got to have understand he's a young player.
Yeah.
So he's learning the game at the highest level possible in tough conditions. So as a young player, we got to support him to on that journey by backing him and helping him to reflect really well on every experience that he gets. So and that's the whole staff, and at the senior team and here at the academy, that's all we are trying to do, just to help him that learning journey. So, and I'm sure with his mindset that he will continue to work hard and get better.
The original plan when I answered that question was like, okay, yeah, I'll let Ramesh answer that and then I'll let him go because, he's given up his time. But I know what's going to happen. If I let you go now, people in the comments will say, why did you not ask Ramesh about Johan Lane? So my last question, my last question then is related to Johan Lane. Also having come through the academy, obviously he's gone off to New Zealand, named in the ODI squad. For New Zealand, could be named in the test squad, not sure yet, we'll wait and see. Just understanding, obviously Johan took a bunch of wickets in the first class championship last season with the academy. He's made a lot of strides in a very quick time. What are the strengths? And obviously we saw him make his test debut in India, but having worked closely with him since arriving in the Caribbean, what are the obvious strengths that you notice with Johan and where you think his game can go?
Yeah, I mean, I want to add Johan's opening bowling partner as well. Who's played a lot for West Indies in the last 2-3 months too, in Jeddah Blades.
Blades, yeah.
So Johan, I'd say he's got really good physical attributes when it comes to his height. Quite tall, lanky bowler who bowls quite a hard length for batters, because he gets that bounce from quite a fullish length, and can obviously move the ball as well. And ball throughout the last 12 months, he has increased ball speeds as well. So, which is a really good thing for him, and I believe he has the potential to even get quicker. with work we're doing and the right amount of strength work and some biomechanical additions to his bowling action. Again, someone who has performed really well in domestic cricket. So again, as Akeem, a young player who's willing to learn, Johan Lane is someone who's willing to learn as well. So he's got a really good growth mindset as a cricketer. So we again someone who has a really good future for West Indies cricket. Like you could see, he could bowl in ODI cricket, bowling that 7 to 8 meter length heavy, and then also he has the ability to move the red ball both ways. So and like these guys, the more exposure they get at that level, their skill will develop. Again, again starting out 21 year old, 22, I think just turned 22, so very young in the Caribbean context. I think it's very young in terms of the amount of cricket they've played. So again, a really good talent that is coming through from Coolidge at the moment.
And lastly, Ramesh, once these guys fly off, those who are going to join the team in various different guises, what next for you over the next 6 months? What are you? Obviously, you got the academy lads, but just in general, what are plans on the horizon that you can tell me from your perspective?
Now that's so good. Like we've currently most of our players are with their respective franchises. So preparing for Super 50 or trying to get into Super 50. Some have actually missed out on selection, and some have actually got into those teams. So our plan is a group of players who are not involved in the Super 50 will be coming end of this week to train here. And then as of now, we will have all our players returning to their home base, which is Antigua, on start of December.
Yeah.
So they all the players from the academy will come here for about 18 days before our Christmas break. So they will train here, and minus the ones who are in the test squad.
Yeah.
So all the others will be training, and then in the new year, again we will have trainings in early part of the year. They will all come here because their base is Antigua. So and then they will probably go into their local franchises to either play trials or play with their home regions. And after that, during off season of our domestic regional championships, we do have the reciprocal tour of Sri Lanka, the return leg of.
Are we going to Sri Lanka, or are Sri Lanka coming to us?
Yeah, no, we are going there.
Okay.
So around that time, we are at the moment. I mean, you are aware of our financial situation at the moment. So everyone's trying their best to get more cricket to our academy players. So we are trying, and hopefully we can also find another playing opportunity after the Sri Lanka tour for these guys, because you got to play cricket to develop, to be honest. So we are trying our best to get them more cricket, and they'll still be, everyone's still contracted to the academy. So whether we manage them remotely or whether we manage them centrally here in Antigua. So, but we always have a plan for our guys who are in this year's cohort.
Yeah.
And academy currently, like with us not having all the players here, so there will be opportunities for like this test camp.
Yeah.
Players who are preparing for international cricket, they can actually come and train here before they go away. So but then, yeah, it's a good opportunity for our guys as well to actually, try really fight hard for places in those regional franchises, and it will make their team stronger as well, because when you have more players like competing for same place, obviously, the standards goes up.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a different one because we are not in the regional tournaments. However, I'm still confident that we will be able to give them a really good 12-month of development and
Mhm.
being part of the academy.
Listen, Ramesh, thank you so much for giving up your time. Like I said, people, Ramesh came straight off from training to come and do this. We were actually supposed to do this an hour later, and I messaged him and said, "Now we're going to go an hour earlier." so he's really given up his time for this. So thank you, Ramesh, so much. Obviously, all the best to all the players that are prepping out there and potentially flying off, etc. To New Zealand. And you and I are always talking, so we can always touch base at some point in the future. But thank you for coming on, Ramesh, and go safely in the meantime.
Thank you, Mash. Keep supporting West Indies.
You know me.
Yeah.
Take care. That's been Ramesh, people. Ramesh Subasinghe, giving us a really good insight into all things West Indies Academy, development of our younger players, preparation for New Zealand. As you'll see on the thumbnail, this is really about this episode was all about understanding New Zealand, getting ready for New Zealand, but also it was important whilst we had him here to talk about some of the younger players and academy development as well. Hope you enjoyed that one, people. As ever, you know what to do: like, share, subscribe, algorithm. Share it with a friend, share it in your WhatsApps, Facebooks, etc. And I always don't leave an episode without making sure that I mention this. If you've got anything spare, people, to support the relief fund for Jamaica after the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa, go to supportjamaica.gov.jm. Every little bit helps and counts. Thank you so much for tuning in, people, and we'll be back very, very soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.